Namaste everyone, welcome to Arsha Samyoga. I'm Medha. Have you ever had a desire? What are your ambitions in this life? What are your goals and objectives? Just take a moment and think about it, then hang on to that thought. When we look at all of humanity, there are some common objectives and common desires that all of us want, that we strive for. So let's see what these are. The first one is security. We want to ensure our security, our continued survival, right? We don't want any danger to life. We don't want a threat to our living. So whenever humanity goes to any place, the first thing we do is we try to ensure our continued survival. And this desire we share in common with animals. So if you see animals, they also have a desire to continue their living. And so what they do, they hoard their food, they try to build shelters, they fight for their survival, they protect their young ones. So all of this is something that we humans also do. Now what do I need in order to be secure in my survival? I need food, I need shelter, I need clothes, I need oxygen. So in today's world, we have a different word for all of this, and that is money. Because of our advanced intellect, we have created a system where money can ensure that I have access to all of these things. If I have money, I can buy food. If I have money, I can buy a house, I can buy clothes, I can afford medical aid. And so money becomes synonymous with survival. And so that is why a lot of people today are seeking wealth, right? They work a lot to acquire wealth so that they can be secure. Now many people realize that money itself is not enough to secure me. And so what do? They think they need more things to secure them, such as power or influence or fame. So these people spend money trying to acquire power and influence. And sometimes they take it a bit too far also. But the root of all of this behavior is simply this. I want to live comfortably, I want to live longer and without any danger to my survival. So this is the first main desire of humanity, and that is security for our survival. Then there is a second goal or second objective that we have, and that is seeking pleasure. So we do certain activities that bring us pleasure. We want experiences that make us happy. For example, eating an ice cream, watching a movie, listening to music, going on a vacation. Now note the difference between this pleasure seeking and the previous security for survival. Pleasure seeking need not always be something that secures my survival. For example, if I like listening to music, music in no way contributes to my security, right? Music in no way helps to increase my wealth or any kind of survival chances that I have. But I like listening to music, and so it is a pleasure seeking behavior. But sometimes this pleasure seeking and security can overlap. For example, suppose I talk about food. So just to ensure my survival, all I need is plain white rice, right? Plain white rice is enough if I eat it and my sustenance is taken care of. But it is rather bland, it's kind of tasteless. So what do? I take the plain white rice and I make it into a delicious biryani. And so now my sustenance is also taken care of and I get pleasure out of eating this biryani. So sometimes they overlap and they sometimes need not overlap also. Now, we see this behavior in animals also. So if you have dogs or cats, you see that when you bring some delicious food, they get very excited and they run behind you because they know that this is going to be a pleasurable experience for them. So we share this with animals also. But there is one key difference between us and the animals. Animals are driven by instinct alone. They are programmed. They know what they like, they know what they don't like, and that is it. But human beings are driven by instinct as well as a personal value system. So, for example, if you put some food in front of me, I think before I eat it, right? Is this healthy for me? Will this make me fat? And suppose in my self judgment system, I find being fat undesirable, then I don't eat that food. So we find that our pleasure seeking behavior is guided by this self judgment that I have, some values that I have about how I perceive the world, and that guides my behavior. Now, these values are constantly changing, they are not the same. Every time they keep varying from time to time, from place to place. And because the values are changing, I find that my desires are also constantly changing. So humanity is constantly struggling to obtain the pleasant and to avoid the unpleasant. And this is a ever struggling, ever changing process. So this is the second one, which is seeking pleasure. Now there is a third objective of humanity, and this is ethics and morals. And this is unique to human beings. We don't find animals thinking or discussing about ethics and morals. They don't think, how should I behave? So what is this system? What guides my ethics or my morals? Just imagine a society where there are no ethics, where everybody is just recklessly behind pleasure and behind security. I see that house over there and I think I like this house, I'm going to take this house. No other, no restrictions for me. What would happen in such a society? This is what we call a very barbaric society, right? It's very unsophisticated and very uncivilized. Civilized, that is the key word here. This civilization means an integrity about the way I behave, an integrity to my behavior. And this is guided by an underlying value system, which is just a common sense understanding that I would treat others the way I want them to treat me, and don't treat others the way I don't want them to treat me. For example, I don't like it when somebody steals my objects. So in the same way, I have to realize that other people also don't like it if their possessions are stolen. And we can apply this to everything, right? And this is what makes us a structured, civilized society. This appreciation for my neighbor's feelings as well is what is the guiding factor behind this ethics and morals. Now, if I take this understanding one step further about what the Bible says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If I take this little more further, then it also encompasses all the positive behavior that we see in society, all the noble actions and all the service to society. All the people who like to help the poor, help in education, help and give food to others who are not in such a fortunate situation. This behavior is also an extension of the same principle. I would like it if somebody helped me if I was in trouble, right? So in the same way, I also must help others who are in trouble. And so this ethics and morals also includes all the positive behavior of society, as well as discouraging certain negative behaviors like stealing, killing, etc. Now we would think that this ethics and morals is a standard for humanity, right? It must be a basic standard. And yet we find that it is not so common. There is a certain amount of maturity and evolution that must take place in an individual for him to appreciate the value of values. And this is why this point is third and not first. It should be first. It should be the guiding factor behind the pleasure seeking and the security seeking behavior. But we find that it is third because it takes some time to come to this understanding and appreciate the value of this value system. So this is the third, ethics and morals. There is a fourth goal for humanity, and that is the spiritual goal. This spiritual goal means having freedom from desire itself. Now, this seems unnecessary, unrealistic, and it seems impossible. How can you be free from desires? All the time, we constantly have desires, right? But it is very much possible. Think about the last time that you had a moment of total happiness where everything sort of just fell into place and you were, for at least one moment, totally sorted out. And in that moment, you will see that you wanted nothing more. Everything is already taken care of. In that moment of total and complete happiness, there is nothing further that can make you more happy. And in that moment, all your desires are dropped. So, this spiritual goal is wanting the freedom from all desires, making that one moment into a permanent experience. And that is spiritual freedom. This is the fourth one, the spiritual freedom. Now, some of you may have realized that this sounds very similar to Maslow's hierarchy of his hierarchy of the human needs. But I have actually borrowed this from a much older source, and that is the Vedas itself. In the Vedas, these 4 points, these 4 goals are called as Purushartha. It means the fourfold human pursuits. And if you examine, you will find that all desires of humanity, all ambitions of humanity will fall into one of these 3 or 4 buckets. It may fall into 2, or it may fall into just 1, or even into 4. But you will find that there is no desire other than these 4. You can take your time and think about it. And these 4 Purusharthas are what we just discussed. Artha, the security. Kama, the pleasure. Dharma, the ethics and values. And moksha, the spiritual freedom. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, share, comment, subscribe. Thank you.